Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, GITTEN Peiches. We are holding at the fifth line from the top. So the Mishnah tells us, Chasmu Eidim B'Reish HaDaf. If the Eidim signed their names on the top margin of the get, it doesn't work. On the side, it doesn't work. It needs to be, directly beneath the actual text of the get. Eini, is that really so? Rav Chasim Minatzad. Rav, the Amoira, would sign his name on documents where? On the side margin. Apparently that's acceptable. Answers the Gemara, Hasam. When Rav did that, b'shegagoi klapik saf. We're speaking that his signature was positioned in a way where the top of his letters were facing the text. And that indicates, says Rashi, that shows that he's actually signing on this get, on this document. So true, it's not, in the same line. It doesn't read with the get. It's off to the margin, top, on side. But the fact that the gag, every letter has a sort of a roof and a bottom, right? The gag is the top, and the bottom are the legs and bottom, right? So if the letters are positioned in a way where the tops of the letter are facing the text, even though they're off in the margin, but it's clear that they're leaning towards the text and relating to it, as opposed to our Mishnah, where it wasn't done that way. So instead of the top of the letters, it was the bottom of the letters facing the get. In which case we can say perhaps there was another document written over those signatures which are testifying and certifying that document. Right? But if they're facing, the tops of the letters are facing this text, this document, they can't be certifying anything else other than this. That's how Rashi explains the Gemara. Okay, so now let's go back to the Mishnah. What does the Mishnah tell us? We have several, configurations of two gittin situated alongside each other. So we have, one page with two gittin on it, right? Two texts. And they're head to head. So you have text number one, top going down to the bottom, text number two, top to the bottom, and they're head to head on the paper. Okay? What does the Mishnah say? If they're facing head to head. And where are the Eidim? The Eidim ba'emtza. They're situated right in between. Shneim psulim. Both gittin are possible. Why? Well, the signatures are certainly facing, the top of the letters of the signature is certainly facing one of these two. So that one should be kosher. Let's take a look. Klapik savalis kosher. Whichever get faces the signatures. The gag of the signatures, that's the kosher get. So even though these signatures are situated on top of the get, it doesn't matter, as long as they're situated the right way. Hasam derami like ibra. You're right. But here we're speaking that the signatures were positioned like a ibra, like a bolt, like a nail, meaning they're bridging the gap between one get and the other. So we have one get, top, bottom, the other get, top, bottom, facing each other. We thought the Eidim were situated along the width of the get, so they're certainly facing one direction, and that one should be kosher. No. They're facing the length of the get. They're sort of bridging one get with the other. So in this case, the top of the signatures are facing out. They're not facing any of the two gittin. If that's the case, what about the next configuration in our Mishnah? Sefer Diktani, Roish Shalzeh, Bitzat Sefer Shalzeh. So in this case, you have Roish Shalzeh means that the top of one of the gittin is facing the bottom of the git next to it. So basically, you have get on top of get, right? Get on top of get. And where are the Eidim? Ve'edim be'emtza. In the middle you have the Eidim. Mishnah says that she'edim nikrin b'seifei kosher. So the Eidim which are read, the get which reads together with the Eidim continuously, which basically means the top get, which reads into the Eidim, that's kosher. What do you mean? If the Eidim are situated sideways, not on the same wavelength as those lines, they're situated sideways, right? If you have one get on top, one on bottom, and the Eidim are going lengthwise, read the Rami Ki'ibra. If they're like this screw or whatever, they're situated in the opposite direction. La bahai bahadi hai mikri. La bahadi hai mikri. So then they're not being read along with any of the texts. They're standing alone in a totally different direction. So apparently the Mishnah cannot be speaking that the Eidim are situated in such a strange angle. Apparently they are. Signed on the same wavelength as the other texts, as the other lines, right? So they're going in the same direction. And that's why we understand that when you have one get on top of the other, the Eidim in between relate to the previous get, because they're sort of reading along with that. And in the case where you have two gittin side by side, head to head, right? The top of one get opposite the top of the other, and the Eidim in the middle, it doesn't work because you can't sign in the margin. You have to sign on bottom of the get. So that takes us back to our question. How can the Rav sign his name in the margins of the documents? Ella Rav bediski havachasim. They weren't really formal documents. Rashi says diski is the hazmana, when you send out a summons to the bezdin. So the Rosh Av Bezdin, Rav would just sign his name, sometimes on bottom, sometimes on the side. There was no specific way to sign because it wasn't a formal document. In any case, it was just a point of lending his name to the summons, and therefore it didn't have to be done in a formal legal manner. But certainly when it comes to signing on a get, the Eidim have to be signed in a way which makes it apparent that they're testifying about what is written on top of their signatures. So their signatures have to be on bottom and read continuously along with the actual get. And the Mishnah continued. Get, Sheksava Ivris, V'chulu. Then we have these four words. Ksav Sefer Ve'ed Kasher. You have the Sefer's handwriting, which is discernible as his, and one aid, that's okay. How could that? You only have one aid. Omar v'Yirmiyah, you're right. Chasam Sefer Shenin. By the way, this is where the title Chasam Sefer and Ksav Sefer comes from this Gemara. So Yirmiyah says it's it's the Chasam Sefer Sheninu. That the Sefer actually signed his name on bottom, right? Together with another aid. There you go. You have two Eidim. So what's the point? I mean, if you have two Eidim, why even discuss it? It's not so simple, because perhaps we shall be concerned that perhaps the husband had asked, somebody to take care of his get, and he instructed them to, find me a sefer, find me two Eidim, and they felt bad for the sefer putting in all that work. You know what? They asked him to join as an aid. Felt bad for him. So perhaps he wasn't meant to sign his name, the sefer, and they did it anyways. So that's a concern that we may have. And the chiddush is, Amar Rav Chizda, Hamani Rabbi Yesi. We're going with Rabbi Yesi's shita. If you recall, Rabbi Yesi held that you can't convey that instruction. You can't pass on verbal instructions. Mili loy mimseran l'shliach. So there's no possibility of such an arrangement. I can't ask Ruvain to go find me a sefer and Eidim. Okay, so it has to be, directly from the husband himself. So in this case, there's no concern that perhaps instead of inviting the other person, I invited the shliach invited the sefer, because there's no such thing as sending a shliach to invite people. The sefer is signed. Apparently, he was asked to sign, so there's no concern. So Rabbi Yirmiyah tells us we need the chasima of the sefer in conjunction with another aid. In fact, there was a story. Hayi ksubas chasanim. There was a ksuba of a chasan. The asil coming to Ravo, brought to Ravo. Dav yadu l'toifsa. Dav yadu l'toifsa means they recognize the handwriting of the typhus of the actual text to be the handwriting of a certain sefer. In addition to the handwriting of the sefer, which was discernible, they also were able to authenticate one of the signatures of the aid. So Rabbi Vo figured, okay, we have the signature and we have the handwriting of the sefer, which is like an aid. Amal Rabbi Yirmiyah, no, chasam sefer shaninu. The Mishnah needs to have the sefer signed. You can't just use his handwriting. The fact that he's actually writing the get for us doesn't mean much. Doesn't mean that he was serving as an aid. You need his signature together with the other signature, so you have two aidim. And this is in accordance with Rabbi Yirmiyah's explanation shortly earlier. Mishnah tells us when you write the name of the husband and wife, although typically you write, the name and the father's name, but if they chose to write sort of a family name, like Ibn Ezra, right? So apparently there was a yid by the name Ezra way back. He's the patriarch of the family. After which they all relate and they call themselves after him. So that's called chanichasai, or by the isha chanichasa. That's okay. Tanar Rabbanon, there's a limit to that. So if your great 20 generations ago grandfather had a certain name, you can't use that as your current chanicha, as your point of reference. It has a limit. Tanar Rabbanon chanichas always be GITTEN. How far can you go back? Ad yud deiros, until 10 generations. You can relate to that patriarch and call yourself after him. Apparently that's, sort of close enough, which makes it, discernible and identifiable. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, no, much less. Gimel deiros kasher. You can stretch it for 3 generations. So your son, your grandson, that's it. Mikan ve'ilach pasal, but you can't use it past 3 generations. Who are too far removed from this great-grandfather. Kaman az lahadam Rab Chanina. So Rab Chanina, who says this halacha, whose shita is he following? He said, Kasav chanichas avos begitten ad gimel deiros. That the chanicha goes until 3 deiros. So whose shita is this? Come on. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, as we just explained. Amar Rav Huna Ma'ikra. Where's the source that the grandfather's identity transfers up until his 3rd generation? Ki soiled banim, uvnei banim, v'nei shandim. The pasuk speaks about eventually how Klal Yisrael is going to get settled in Eretz Yisrael and lose that excitement and chas v'shalom veer from the path, right? So we have banim v'nei banim, your children, their children, and then the pasuk just goes on v'nei shantim. You become, entrenched or whatever, right? So we see that up until your grandchild, you relate up until your grandchild. But past that, it no longer sort of identifies and relates to the grandfather. On this topic of the Churban and Techacha, we're meant to know that Eretz Yisrael was only destroyed when it got to a certain point, where it boiled over. It only happened when 7 Batei Dinim. Rashi explains, Batei Dinim here means 7 mishpachos, Zayin mishpachos shel malachim mimalchei Yisrael. 7 dynasties, 7 families of royalty. 7, royal institutions, so to speak. All served of a Zara, that was it. And that brought about the Churban. Ve'elu who are these 7? Yeravam ben Avat, that's 1. Ubasha ben Achya, that's 2. Va'achav ben Imri is 3. Ve'yehu ben Nimshi 4. Ve'pekach ben Remalyo, that's 5. Menachem ben Gadi, Ve'yisheh ben Ela. Shenamar, as we find in the pasuk, that the 7 families who Eved Avezar brought about the Churban Umlola Yeledes Hashiva Nafchanafsha Ba Shimsha Ba'oid Yoimam Baisha V'Chafra. So we see the reference to Yelda Shiva, 7 generations, 7 malachim and their families brought about nafcha nafsha, bosha v'chafra, the embarrassment and the galus. Amar Rabbi Ami. Amar Rabbi Ami Maikra. Where do we find this in the Chumash as well? Kisolet banim, v'nei banim. Right? It says you'll have banim. So banim here is a lashon rabim, 2 generations, banim. Uvnei is another 2 generations. The word banim is another 2. So that's 6. And kisolet, kisolet is 1 there. Right? Kisolet is 1, banim 2, uvnei is another 2, banim is another 2, total of 7. And what does the pasuk say after that? Hashem says, I testify, this is going to bring about your destruction and your leaving Eretz Yisrael. Amalei Rav Kahana of Rav Asi, we had a question. L'Rav, they asked Rav a question. Ksiva b'Yeshua ben Eila. The pasuk by Yeshua says, Vayasara ben Hashem, rak loy kimalchi Yisrael. So although he wasn't committed, to Hashem, but it wasn't as bad as the previous kings. And then what does it say? He suffered. He was attacked by the Goyish king, Chsiv, Olav, Allah Shal Nasser, Melech Asher. So how does that work? Because he wasn't as terrible as the previous kings, that's why he went into exile? How do we understand this pasuk? Amr, he explains to him like this. The pasuk means Oisan Pardisois, those guards, Shohoshev Yeravam, Aladrachim. We know that Yeravam ben Avat was concerned about, he was threatened, that he felt threatened. If Klal Yisrael will go to Yerushalayim, to the Beis HaMikdash, they'll see that the Melech ben David will get the ultimate honors, and he won't, so they'll rebel against him. So he disallowed Aliyah L'Regel, and he, in fact, stationed guards on the road. These Pardisois would prevent Yidden from being Oila L'Regel. And Yeshua removed those guards and enabled Klal Yisrael to go up to Yerushalayim. Those guards who were stationed to prevent, comes Hisham, takes them away. So in a way he facilitated Aliyah L'Regel, but the nation did not take advantage. Rama became loyal Yisrael L'Regel. And that was their undoing. Hashem says those years, which they did not go L'Regel, when they were able to, instead they'll go to exile. So the pasuk means to say that Hoshea, because he was not as terrible as the previous kings, meaning he removed those impediments and enabled Aliyah L'Regel, and still they didn't take advantage. That brought about the Einish. Amar Rav Chizda, Amar Merukva. Amar Lo, some say Amar Rav Chizda, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah. Darash Merema Torah as follows. What does the pasuk mean? Vayishkad Hashem ala Ra. So Vayishkad means he hurried up. He expedited the Ra. Vayiviyah aleinu ki tzadik Hashem Elokeinu. The question is, where's the correlation? Mishum tzadik Hashem Elokeinu. Just because Hashem is a tzadik, Vayishkad Hashem ala Ra, Vayiviyah aleinu. So he expedited the Ra. Ella, it means like this. When Hashem, in fact, sent us into Galus, it was with tzedakah. It was with care and concern. Ella tzedakah asak l'shbochem Yisrael. Hashem did a tremendous favor with Yisrael. Shehigla Galus tzedkiyahu. Vadayin Galus yichanya kayemes. That Hashem hurried up, He expedited. That the Galus tzedkiyahu, which was the second Galus during the Churban, hurried out into Galus in time to still meet those members of Golus Yechanya who went into Golus years earlier. So most of them were still around. Right? And they were able to learn from them. They were big Chachamim, big Tzadikim, Golus Yechanya. Because when Yechanya, the king, went to Golus, he brought along many Chachamim. Cheresh v'amasker 1,000 of these Chachamim. Why are they called Cheresh v'amasker? Cheresh means as soon as any of them open up their mouth, they start speaking Torah, everybody around them becomes like a cheresh, like deaf mute, meaning they become mute. They nothing to say. They can't match up to these tremendous chachamim. Here, paracherish means a mute. What about masker? Kivan shesogren. Masker means closing, shutting down. Once they shut down, meaning, Rashi says, einam yoidim lahashiv l'shaleim. If they're stumped, then you're stumped. Kivan shesogren shuv einan poisch. Nobody else can offer anything. So, cherish v'masker denotes their high level of scholarship and chachma. V'kama, how many were they? 11. So Hashem hurried up. He quickly brought the next batch of gullus in time to benefit, to be able to meet up with the 1,000 chachamim who were there from the previous gullus in order to learn from them, benefit from them. Ula Amar, another pshat. In the pasuk Vayishkad, Hashem hurried it up as a favor. Shehiktim shtei shanim libanei shantim. Hashem did not wait until V'noi Shantem happened, because when the pasuk says V'noi Shantem, it's followed by a very terrible description. Hashem will, they'll be destroyed, etc., etc. So, V'noi Shantem, in its numerical value in its gematria, is 852. If you work out the numbers, Klal Yisrael went into Golus only 850 years into living in Eretz Yisrael. 850 years since they arrived in Eretz Yisrael. Why? To avoid this terrible tragedy which is described in the pasuk afterwards, Bavad Mehira and all that. So Ki'avei Tevedun. So that Hashem wanted to prevent. So Hashem quickly took them into Golus before they got to the point of an Eshantem, which spared them that process. Omar of Achbar Yaakov. Shmamino, we can learn from here that the word Mehira, which means quickly, Demari Alma, relating to Hashem, how many years is that? Tamni Meya V'chamshin V'tartiu, 852. Because the pasuk, look at the pasuk, it says like this: Haydaisi b'chem ayoyim es hashmayim es haaretz. Well, I declare, Ki avei tevei d'mahir, me'al haaretz, asher atem oivrim es hayard neshama l'rishta. Right? Because the pasuk speaks about Klal Yisrael going off the derech, veering, v'nei shantem, and serving avodah zarah, and then it says that the next pasuk it says, this is Dvarim Daled, pasuk Chafei, and then pasuk Chavav, and it says that you'll be destroyed, Ka'avei Teveidin Mahir, right, quickly. So V'nei Shantem is correlates to Mahir, to Mehira, and V'nei Shantem is 852 years. So we see that the Lashon Mehira by Hashem is this span of time. But as we explained, Hashem did his chesed and expedited the process and sent Klal Yisrael to Golus before we got to the point of an Eshantem. You got too old and you veered off too far beyond repair. Interesting that the Chassan Sefer says, in the name of the Machzas HaShekel, he says that we always say Mehira biyameinu b'karev, right? We have in the Haggadah Shal Pesach at the end by Nirtzah. Why do we have to, speak in redundancies? Mehira biyameinu b'karev. So he says, according to this Gemara, Mehira can take a very long time, 852 years. So we tell Hashem, no, Mehira biyameinu b'karev, in our lifetime, quickly. Mehira biyameinu, amen. Okay, so we spoke about the positioning of the Eidim, we spoke about the Chasam Sefer with another Eid, we spoke about using a sort of a family name, but up to a point when it's still recognizable. We have some items about the Golus, about the tzedakah that Hashem did for us to preserve us even in Golus. Now starts the sugya of a forced get. Get mu'usa. So, if a fellow was forced to give a get, he was compelled to divorce. Does it work? Is it valid? Be Yisrael kosher. If he was forced by a bezdin of Yisrael, who had the authority to do so, based on the halacha and Shulchan Aruch, then the get is kosher. But if the goyim do that, it's possible, and we'll see in the Gemara, even if this fellow was meant to give a get, there are certain situations where we compel the husband, he's not living up to his obligations, etc. So if a Yisrael Bezdin does it, it's fine, but not if a Goyish Bezdin. However, even a Goyish court, if they go and they get instructions from the Yisrael, if the Goyim hit him, they're telling him, follow the Yisrael's instructions, kosher, that gets okay. Vik kosher, that gets okay. Get Hamusa Yisrael, if it was compelled by the Yisrael. Kiddin, if it was justified, he was meant to give the get, then the get is kosher. Shaloi Kiddin possible, but if it was unjustified forcing, then it's no good. But still, it has some sort of element of divorce. We say there's a chumrah, it's called like reyach haget, the smell of a get. It affects a woman and makes her ineligible to marry a kohen. So that much it does, but otherwise it doesn't really affect divorce. But if they did it, kedin, if they did it rightfully, pasul upaisal, then, as we explained, of course they can't, but it still has that effect regarding marrying a kohen. Shalai kedin, but if it was totally unjustified, afilu recha get ein boy, it's worthless, has no effect whatsoever. Now, the question is manashach. How can you have it both ways? If an Oid Gechavim has the authority to force a get, is kashuri nami liskasher. So when it was done kedin properly, so then let it be kasher. But if they don't have the authority to do so, mifsalei lifsal. So then the get shouldn't have any effect. Even reyach get, it shouldn't affect anything. Amar of Misharsha. The answer is like this: Dvar Torah, minat Torah, get mu'usa ba'oid gechavim kasher. Even a gechavim forces a Yisrael to give a get, it's kasher. Uma tam amur pasal. So why don't we allow this get? For practical reasons. Shaloite kol achas va'achas. We don't want every desperate woman to go and get herself out of her husband. Hoylechas v'toila atzma ba'oid gechavim mafkas atzma at bala. She'll find the local mafia and tell him to force her husband to give a get. We don't want that to happen. So we disallow any goyish gittin. Asks the Gemara Yehachi, if that's the case, that technically speaking, even a get mu'usa through a goy works. We don't accept it, we don't allow it, but theoretically it has validity. Yehachi, if that's the case, how can we totally ignore it? Shaloi kedin, so we said that the get mu'usa of a goy is possible. But if it was kedin, if there was halachic basis for this divorce, if it was justified, the fact that the divorce was justified, we said that it affects her status regarding a kohen, right? It has that power. But if it's shaloi kedin, if there was totally no basis, no justification for forcing this husband, then we totally ignore the get. It's irrelevant. Hiyachi. Shaloi kedin, afilu recha get ein boy, has no recha get at all. It doesn't even affect her status regarding a kohen. How can we say that? Let us treat it just like the get of a musa of Yisrael. What happens there? But nahavi kishaloi kedin be Yisrael. Let it be equal. Let us match it up with the get musa of Yisrael. When it was shaloi kedin, there was no basis or justification for forcing this husband. So what do we say? That it has some value. Umifsal nami lifsal. It should at least affect her status regarding a kohen, because it's reminiscent of a get. It appears like a get. It has that effect. Right. So according to Rabbi Misharshi's approach, that not Torah, a get mu'usa, but if the gechavim is really kosher, then why is it treated any less than a Yisrael regarding kahuna? Right. Let's just recap. A get mu'usa of Yisrael, if it was kedin, kosher. Shaloi kedin, it's pasul, but it's paisal for kahuna. The same should be by the get mu'usa through the Eved Gechavim. So on the one hand we say, even if it's kedin, it's not kosher, like we explained. Right? But if it's shaloi kedin, we say it's totally worthless. What do you mean? It should be like the shaloi kedin of the Yisrael, which is paisal kahuna. Elo, says the Gemara, apparently this approach is incorrect. A get mu'usa of a goy is totally worthless. The halacha of get mu'usa is only given to the Bezdin of Yisrael. Right? Elohadar of Misharsha Bedusi. This approach of Rav Misharsha is incorrect. So according to this, the Oived Kechavim have no koyach to force at all. Minat Torah. V'tamimai. So now let's explain the difference between the get mu'usa of the Kechavim and get mu'usa of the Yisrael. Meaning, why is it that by the Yisrael, if it's shaloi kedin, it can still affect her status regarding a kohen? But when it comes to the Oived Kechavim's get, if it was kedin, then although it's possible minat Torah, but it can affect her status regarding kahuna. But if it's shaloi kedin, we totally ignore it. Why? That's sort of a double jump already. Kedin, the get of the guy, if it was done kedin, b'chedin the Yisrael michlav, it can be confused with the get of Yisrael, which was kedin as well, which is kosher. So it's one step away, one step removed. This is kedin, that's kedin, so we give the goyish get also some power to affect it regarding a kohen, lest it be confused with the kedin of Yisrael. But to take it a step further, shaloi kedin, if it's a get of a goy, shaloi kedin, that's already two steps removed from the kedin of the Yisrael, right? Shaloi kedin of the goy, b'chedin the Yisrael, lai michlav. Nobody will confuse the two, and therefore we can allow ourselves to totally ignore the shaloi kedin of the goy. It's not going to come to be confused and to bring about pitfall and confusion regarding a proper get of Yisrael issued kedin. So bottom line is, according to the conclusion of the Gemara, what is the halacha of a get mu'usa? So get mu'usa means a forced get, a compelled get. If it was executed by a Bezdin Yisrael, whether directly or using the services of anybody, even a non-Jewish executors, but the point is the Bezdin Yisrael, the one issuing the orders, authorizing and compelling the get. So if it was done kedin, meaning it was justified, it was meant to be, it was halachically mandated, then the get is perfectly fine. It's kosher. But shaloi kedin, if it was unjustified, then we say it's possible, but it still makes her pasal l'kahuna. It's called re'ach haget. A get mu'usa b'oived kechavim. Minat Torah is possible, but if it was done kedin, it's so close to the real thing, so it affects her for kahuna. Now, a get mu'usa Yisrael, who can do that? Any Yisrael on the street? No. He needs to have the authority of a bezdin, and a proper bezdin. Abaye ashkeche Rav Yosef. Abaye encounters Rav Yosef. The Yosef become asa gitti. So he was sitting, and he was, bringing about this forced get. He was compelling a husband to give a get. Amar lei, so Abaye asks him, Va'anan hediyaitis. We're not certified. We don't have smicha, the real smicha, which relates back to Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Dar achar dar. We don't have that continuous, uninterrupted chain of smicha going back to Moshe Rabbeinu. How can we go ahead and force people to give divorces? V'tanya hayir Rav Tafrin Omer. Rav Tafrin used to tell us, Kol makom shata moitze agur yois shalev t'kechav. Whenever you encounter, groups of goyim, in their court systems, aval b'shadaneim kedinei Yisrael, even if they're right on, their laws coincide perfectly with our laws, you're not allowed to avail yourself to their services. Right? The mishpatim are meant to be conducted and presented lifneihem, in front of the bati dinim of Yisrael, lifneihem v'lo lifnei avdei kechavim, in front of the bezdin of Yisrael, not a guy. Another pshat, lifneihem, in front of experts, in front of smuchim, v'lo lifnei diaitis, as opposed to commoners who don't have smicha. So we don't have the authority that they used to have. We don't have the smicha. We're not mumchim. Amarle is so. Rav Yosef responds, You're right. Technically, we don't have personal certification, but we are serving the dayanim who are smuchim, who are living in Eretz Yisrael. Amalei anan shlichusai ka'avdinan. We're doing the shlichas. We're serving the dayanim smuchim in Eretz Yisrael. They're authorizing us. They're enabling us to do this on their behalf. So we're not doing it based on our own authority, rather the smuchim in Eretz Yisrael. Mida dehava, haidois v'alvlois. Just like we litigate all types of litigations, haidos, halvois, loan issues, admissions, all kinds of financial dinei Torah we deal with. Right? Even though, as Rashi brings, the Gemara in Sanhedrin says we need 3 mumchim for that. We're not mumchim, we're not experts, we don't have smicha here in Bavel. How do we do it? Because we're doing shlichus for them. We're doing them a service. We're considered like an extension of the dayanim in Eretz Yisrael who have smicha. Yoch, if that's the case, then take it a step further. Gzelas v'chavleis nami. What about halachas of gzela, halachas of damages, right? Personal damages. Nami. Why don't we deal with those things as well? Answers the Marki Abdina Shlichus Sayu Milsa de Shchicha. We're only considered shluchim of the dayanim Eretz Yisrael concerning matters which are common. But Milsa de Shchicha, Abdina Shlichus Sayu. So when it comes to halva and all these financial things, these are common day-to-day things. So we're sort of authorized to deal with them. But things which are not common, such as gzelos and chavolos, this is not something that they authorized us to do, and therefore we don't have the authority to carry that out. Interesting, Taisa says, Akasha, what about Geirus? How could we be Makabal Geirim Bizman? That we need 3 mumchen. So he says that same idea, we're doing the shlichus of the previous generations. We're representing the dayanim of old. There's another pshat from Rabbeinu Nassan, a different rishon. He says, Bizman Azeh Makabal Geirim, because the pasuk says so. Chi yagur itchem ger. This is in Bamidbar, Perak Tezvav Yudalet. L'deir seichem indicates that we're meant to be makabel gerim throughout all generations, even bezman hazeh, when we don't have the mumchen, the experts who have smicha. Interesting. So bottom line is, a get me'usa, is it valid? If it was ordered by the goyim, it's not. If it was ordered by a Bezdin Yisrael, so then the get is kosher, provided it was kedin, it was justified. There was halachic basis for forcing this husband to do so. And then the Mishnah says, even if the Bezdin decided to utilize the services of a guy to force him, he's still considered being forced by the Bezdin Yisrael, and the get is kosher. Says the Mishnah, Yotza Shma Be'ir Mekudeshes. So there's a rumor circulating in town that Rachel got engaged. She was Mekudesh. Harei Mekudeshes. We treat her as an Isha Mekudeshes, as a married woman. Milgureshes. Let's say there's a rumor about a woman, we thought she was married. No, there's a rumor that she's divorced. We treat her as such. Harei Mekureshes. The Gemara will explain exactly how this works. Ublavat, provided that this rumor is clear and, not shaky. Ublavat shaloi heisham amasla. Amasla, Rashi says, lashon mashal. Some sort of disclaimer. Casting doubt. Well, it wasn't exactly, it was something. It has to be a clear-cut, description of events, but if it's something that's makes it hazy and unreliable, then we can't go on that rumor. Ezohi amasla, what's considered an example of amasla? Something which casts doubt. Girish ish plenis ishtoi, altnai. So everybody's speaking about the divorce that occurred, but there was some sort of condition attached, some sort of strings attached. We don't know. So that's an amasla, which may very well not have panned out. So that's not considered a substantiated rumor. Likewise, in the case of kiddushin, zorak la kiddushia. So everybody knows that he threw her the ring. We don't know where it landed. Safek karev la, maybe near her, and she was mekudesh. Safek karev la, maybe near him, and she was not mekudesh. So yeah, amasla. These are examples of amasla. Now that the Gemara figures at this point that when Mishnah says there's a koil that she's megureshes, we're speaking about a married woman, currently married, and there's a rumor that she was divorced, we treat her as a divorced woman. How could that be? So now she can't stay with her husband? Let's say he's a kohen. That's it. Show's over. He can't stay with her. He can't marry a divorced woman. Really? We do that? Rashi tells us it's worthless. A rumor cannot disrupt a marriage. Any rumor which surfaces post-marriage against a married couple, we just ignore it. So what does the Mishnah mean? The answer is like this. We're not speaking about a rumor on a married woman. Hachikamer. Yotza shma be'ir mikudeshes. We have an unmarried woman, a single woman. Is a rumor? She was mikudeshes. Okay, we accept that. Her is mikudeshes. However, if together with that rumor came another rumor, it was a two-sided rumor, two-sided story. Mikudeshes u'megureshes. There was a girl saying that she was mikudesh, and then we hear a minute later she got divorced from that person. Harez megureshes. In this case, we treat her like a megureshes, and she's mutter to marry anybody. Why? My time. Why? Because it's like, pesha asar, pesha hitter. We have the problem with the solution at the same time. My time a koil, v'shoiver imay. On the one hand, you have a koil that she was mukudeshes, and you have this shoiver. Shoiver breaks. Something that disqualified the koil, that opposed the koil. So therefore, now she's mutter. She's no longer considered married. Okay, so let's recap today's daf. We discussed the position of the Chasima Sa'edim. They must be positioned in a manner where they're read together with the text of the get. It's a continuous reading. The handwriting of the Sefer does not constitute Eidus. We need his signature as well, together with another Eid, for a total of 2 Eidim. Even writing Chanicha, sort of a family name, would be okay, provided it's sufficient to identify and to, it's not too far back in terms of generations. We can deem it his name and her name. We have the Zayin Batadinim who committed Avodah Zarah, brought about the Churban, and we have the fact that Hashem hurried up the Gullus so that they can benefit from the Chachamim who was sitting in Bavel. Ulas Pshat is to avert the magic number of 852. We learned about a forced get, which can only be executed authorized by the Bezdin. It's like any other, Psak Bezdin. We need a Bezdin Mumchen, or at least representing a Bezdin Mumchen. A koil achar nesuin is worthless. A koil on a pnuya is given credibility, but if it comes together with either an amasla, something which makes it shaky, or it's recalled instantly, well, she's mekudesh, and then we have megureshes, then she's mutter. All the best to you, and atzlachara.